Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are under a bridge outside the Knitting Factory. Cue those Red Hot Chili Peppers puns. And today we are here with Jayden of Sylar. Thank you for your time, man.
Anytime, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Of course. First off, congratulations on all the success with your latest album, Seasons, man. It's absolutely awesome. Do you just want to give a rundown basically on how the making of Seasons is and the record cycle thus far?
Yeah, of course. We did a record called Help in 2016, and that was kind of like really the record that put us on the map as far as like doing more things. So obviously we knew that to follow up that record, it was going to be something that had to be more intense. So when we did Warped Tour 17, directly after that tour, we actually went into the studio in New York for like a week. And what we like to do is basically, before we actually do a record, we obviously write a lot at home and that whole stuff, but this time we went into a studio for a week with our producer Eric on, and we just wrote vibes. We weren't even writing full songs, just vibes, you know? And it's crazy because a year later, we went back to California to do Seasons, and we used so much of the vibes we used over there in New York. So that was part of the process. A lot of the record had a lot to do with like our guitarist Miguel writing stuff, sending it back to me, or if I wrote some lyrics or an idea. It was just a lot about just like bouncing things back and forth. And then that whole process led up to us just getting to the studio and honestly having a very relaxed process because we worked so much before we get in there. Yeah. But the cycle has been awesome, man. I mean, we dropped a record while we were on tour with Beartooth, which was September, October, November. That was an incredible tour. We then headlined Japan, sold out a bunch of shows over it. It was awesome. And then we're doing our first Highlander here in America right now, which is crazy, man. This is a massive dream come true. I mean, you know, I'm from here. You know, this is it. These are my stomping grounds, and I grew up going to shows. I grew up, you know, admiring the bands from here, admiring the scene, that whole stuff. And it's weird. You start doing stuff like that, and you almost like, even though you really want to do it, at least for me, I almost thought I could never. You know, even waking up and still doing the band thing, I almost thought I couldn't get to this point. And it's just, I don't know, I'm just really thankful and stoked to be here. You know, obviously, sky's the limit. I'm nowhere nearly to like where I want to be with like the band, but it's crazy, man. You set out a goal for yourself, and then you achieve it without even realizing it sometimes, and then you start setting all these new goals, and like the bar just keeps getting higher, higher, and higher. And that's where I'm at, man. Just trying to, you know, keep working, making music that we love. That's the most important thing, you know. Even with like touring, we've been touring for a couple years now, and there's a lot of times where like touring gets really tough, like crazy tough. But what really keeps me going every day is just those 30, 35, 40 minutes, whatever time is on stage. That's what does it for me. So we're always focused on making sure we write the music that we want to write, and just, you know, having fun with it and aiming for bigger and bigger things every time.
Awesome. I've noticed with the Seasons record, there's a lot of different sounds on it, so it's clear that you're a band that likes to experiment. But I've also noticed many different vibes on it. Like there are songs that, you know, could get somebody out of bed in the morning, and then there's songs that are very melancholy. Is it fair to say that you feel many different emotions when making music?
Yes, and not even just making music. I mean, I can easily say I'm a very emotional person, even if I don't show. I'm better at like not showing a lot of the emotions that I prefer to keep them to myself. If you know me well, you'll know when like I'm going through a certain thing. But that's always been my thing. I'm very emotional. I'm one of those people that could go into a room and kind of just like, I'm like a sponge. I soak in like all different energies, whether they're good or bad. So that's why we picked Season specifically, like the title, because I felt like, not even just me, dude. I just feel like humans go through so many different emotions, even just throughout the day. I mean, think about how many times you can wake up having an amazing day and it just turns to shit a couple hours later, or vice versa, right? So that was like the whole theme with Seasons. We wanted to make sure that we kind of like described at the same time how we just go through all these emotions, you know, these ups and downs, these peaks and valleys. And I love nature. I'm also affected by seasons. You know what I mean? If it's raining, like I'm not feeling the happiest, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So the word Seasons and the whole term just resonated so big with us that we had to go with it. Yeah.
Definitely the perfect title. Now, with your lyrics, do you tend to like to leave your lyrics open to interpretation, or are you trying to maybe pass on a certain message to your listeners?
So I do a little bit of both. I think in the earlier years, I was always trying to do like the general lyric type thing. We're open to interpretation and stuff, but in Seasons, I definitely got a little more personal, but I try to make it as personal where like you can understand what I'm talking about, but also to the point where like you can grab those lyrics and apply them to yourself, you know? Because there was like for instance, Open Wounds, that song Open Wounds, I was just like freaking out about life, you know? I was about to go on tour for like 4 or 5 months straight and do a record, I had just found out my girl was pregnant. You know what I mean? And it was just like, I just felt like I was choking. You know what I mean? I felt like I was so overwhelmed by life. And you know, when I read the lyrics, I know exactly what I'm talking about, but I don't think everyone else would. You know what I mean? So they are personal in the sense that obviously they're fully personally about like my experiences, but I try to also write them in a way that if someone wants to apply them to their own situation, they can. You know?
Yeah, of course. Now, just from waiting to interview you guys and, you know, seeing all these people who showed up for VIP and even talking to fans of your music, you have a very dedicated fan base. And so when you see on how a fan interprets your music or relates to you, does that change your perspective on your art than when you first made it?
Oh, yeah. Because, I don't know, man, we were young. We were young when we started this. Like, I'm thinking when we, like, really started doing this, and at the time, I was just kind of, like, you know, doing what I had to do to be in a band because it was just like, hey, you have to do this, you have to drop an EP, do a promo, then you have to go on tour. It's like, that was like a thing, and it's hard to go on tour. It's expensive. You have to, like, you know, I dropped out of school to go on tour, you know, like college. I was going to college, and I dropped out to go, so it was just like, I don't know, man. I was writing lyrics and songs, and I was just writing my emotions, but never in a million years would I ever think we would have the fans we have or hear the story. Dude, I hear the craziest stories sometimes. I mean, sometimes they're, like, really heavy where, like, it affects me, you know? But I guess that comes with the territory of writing, like, some real shit, you know? That's the way we've always gone about it, just, like, being as real as we can lyrically and being as real as we can to ourselves. And I feel like every time we write something new, it's just it's more of a learning process, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, we have some wild fans, bro. Like, we're on day 5 of our headliner, and like, I've already seen people over here on the East Coast from like Florida, California, Texas, dude, everywhere in the country. We have kids flying out from China, Europe, Japan to like our shows out here in America because it's our headliner, and it's just like, it's these people that have this emotional attachment to our band and our music, and it's unbelievable, bro. It's crazy. I know everyone says, like, yeah, you know, fans mean everything, and they're the reason why we're here, but that's because that's it. Yeah. If we didn't have people this dedicated or people that actually related to our music and supported us, we wouldn't be doing this shit. That's just the bottom line. So obviously, like, there's times where you know, we're not perfect. Like, you're going to have bad days. There's times where you wake up not wanting to do this. That's just the bottom line. I have days on tour where I wake up and I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here right now. But then you'll step out of wherever you are and meet a fan, and they tell you this wild story or just show you how grateful they are for about your music, and it changes everything. It really makes you like kind of look back and be like, wow, like, I'm really doing this for more than just myself. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. That's not how I saw it. At first, it was just about myself, and I didn't really understand what it was like to really be in a band. But now it's like, damn, man, like, you know, anything we put out there could really affect someone in different ways, and it's just bizarre, man. It's a dream.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Now, one thing I was really curious about is somebody who, you know, when I saw you live at the Beartooth Knocked Loose show, I mean, it was, people were crying, people were killing each other in the pit. Like, it was, I saw so many and I really feel like listening to you guys is a completely different experience than watching you guys live. So for you, how different of an experience is it practicing in a practice space or in the studio versus playing on a stage?
Cool. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm very passionate. I'm a very, very passionate
I could tell.
I'm a very passionate human being. So, like, I'm the guy at practice that even if my band are sitting on their chairs playing their instruments, I'm up fully performing. Always. To me, I don't know, man. I'm just a music fanatic. You know what I mean? Like, I love music. I can listen to music all day. Like, this is even a thing that I get into arguments with my girl because we have a baby and I just always want to be playing music. So to me, it's like, anytime I get to hold a microphone or an instrument, it's just like, I don't take it lightly. I just vibe, especially live, dude. Live is just like, it's weird to explain it because I'm not trying to say I'm like not the same person on stage than when I'm off stage, because I am the same person, but I'm not. When I go on stage, I morph into something different. You know what I mean?
It's a separate reality.
It's just a separate thing. You know what I mean? And I just let loose, man. I just let loose, and I'm proud to say that we definitely like give everything to our live show, and we just let loose and just vibe, you know. And that's so important when you're vibing with your fans or a room. You just feel it in the air, dude. I've walked into like, you know, a venue about to play a set, and I felt the energy in the air, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good, you know. And I'm just a believer in all that stuff. So,
well, I feel like you guys give as good as you get sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you guys feed off the audience, and the audience feeds off you guys.
That's the cycle right there, man. That's the cycle right there. And if you're a band, you're an artist, and you know, because there's dull moments at shows, and you have to break through those. And it took me a little bit. I mean, there was times where we had a show that wasn't going the way I wanted it to go to. And I would have something to say and kind of flip out, and you learn from those things, you know? You learn to, like, just kind of fight through those obstacles even live. I mean, even at our VIP, every day at our VIP, it's like, you know, the meet and greets, the people come in and we play an acoustic session, and the first few minutes it's always very, like, they're always very timid and shy, but I always strive to just break through that, you know, through that shell every time. And I'm so far 5 meet and greets in, it's the same time, it's like the same thing every day when they come in, very timid, but I always break that mold because I want them to understand that it's like, we're adults now, but I always see it's just like, yo, we were just kids doing music, and we happen to be the ones that wrote the songs, but like, we're just people, and I'm so thankful for our fans, dude. I've gone on tour with so many bands that are so shitty and say so many just weird things about fans and act annoyed by fans, and it's fucking shitty as fuck. And I'll never forget one of my first tours, I saw someone like just throwing out like fan art directly after they gave it to him. Obviously not gonna call people out, but I'll never forget I saw that dude do it, and I was just like, that is literally the last thing I will ever be. So if any fan has met us, or if any person has come to any of our shows, they know that we appreciate our fans. Like, there's no doubt about that. Always, we respect them, and we're thankful and appreciate them more than anything. Honestly.
Awesome. And I have 2 more questions for you, if that's cool. You know, being a band from New York City, I mean, that was one of the main reasons actually why I wanted to talk to you, because we have a great underground here, still thriving. And, you know, I'm sure we both know the guys in Jinx playing tonight.
Yep.
Like, shout out to Tommy Roulette from Jinx. But, you know, being that a band from New York City, were you a band that kind of cut your teeth in the underground here, or did you have to go outside the 5 boroughs in order to get Sylar's name out there?
Honestly, when we started this band, I studied everything so hard when starting this band, because I was already in another band from Queens. You know, I was playing bass and like screaming in another band, and then I noticed how everyone was doing their thing at the time when we first came out, and I noticed this pattern where like people were starting bands, and it was almost this pattern of where like they started and released a really shitty demo that sounded awful, and then they would kind of like grind and play shows and save money to finally record something nice. Where I was just like, I'm going to start a band and I'm going to play it backwards completely. I'm going to take my time, save the money, find the members, find the aesthetic, find everything, and then when everything's ready to go, I'm just going to drop it at once. And that's what Sylar did, dude. I mean, I left that other band. I found other people. We planned things out. It took us almost like 8-9 months to finally release something. But I'll tell you what, the day we finally released our Facebook page, it was like, in the local scene, it was kind of like, whatever, just a really good day. And then we just dropped our Facebook page with the song. And it was just like, hands down, the most legit thing in the New York City scene at the time, because we took our time with it. And that caught attention, so we dug our teeth into the underground scene here. But I think a massive thing that really happened for us is that we didn't stay here. Yeah. We did maybe 6 shows as a local band here. We wouldn't do shows all the time either. We would like pick, you know, we would pick our poison pretty much, whatever you want to call it. But we would pick our shows. And then the minute we like did a couple shows here, we were just like, all right, let's start touring. And we left, dude. We left the state. I mean, we were a bunch of kids clueless about shit, and we just hopped in the van and toured. I mean, broke, dude. Like, literally, like, I used to steal food from gas stations. I used to grab food and go into the bathroom and stuff myself with honey buns and then just walk out because we didn't have enough money to get, like, have gas or have anything, you know? It was tough, dude. It was tough, but it was just something we had to do, man. We were playing shot shows, you know, there was no one there, but the passion, dude, you know, the passion. And we just knew that we couldn't stay because it's like, it's crazy when people ask questions about, you know, being a local band and how you break out and stuff. And it's like, this is the thing, this is how I see it. This is how I always ask. It's like, how often do you play locally? And they're always just like, you know, we always play local. We don't go out much. And then I'm just like, okay, so you realize that.
Radius clause.
Well, not only radius clause, but what I'm getting at is that for local bands, it's just like, you know, they'll always tell you like, yeah, man, we play locally all the time. And it's just like, you realize you're literally telling me you're just a local band. Because when you only play local, that's where you're going to be. You're going to be a local band. Yeah. So you have to break out. And it's not easy, bro. I'm not, by no means am I saying just pick up, leave, and tour, because it's not easy. But if you do want to make an impact and you do want to, like, spread out, you have to leave your home state, you know? And it's not easy, but that's just something you really have to do.
Yeah. Being a hometown hero is more of a disadvantage than I think an advantage sometimes, like, if you just stay a hometown hero.
Exactly. Because then you can become massive here, but then you'll go to the state next door, Jersey, and then no one knows you, and it's like, oh shit, I spent 3.5 years working in the New York City scene, but that's not what the world's all about. Yeah. So that's honestly, man, it was a lot of it was very strategic, just kind of looking at the way everything worked, and obviously just going with the vibe, the flow, you know, ups and downs through it all, but that was my thing. We had a goal and a plan from the beginning. We didn't just go into it blindly, like hoping to see what was going to happen. It was just like, okay, we're going to drop this song. You know, the day we dropped the Sylar page, it was like full legit album art, full legit band members, full legit song. Everything was like ready to go. We already had a show. Our first shows were like Comeback Kid. Granted, we like bought tickets to play that show, but it was just like we had to show the world that we weren't fucking around. It's just like, yo, we're coming from New York and we're here to take over. That was always my mentality, which is why I named the band Sylar, because Sylar comes from the show Heroes. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not a big TV guy.
Cool.
So.
Well, the show Heroes takes place in New York, and it's essentially like a version of X-Men. You know, there's people around the world with superpowers, blah, blah, blah. The main villain in the show, his name is Sylar. His power was that he knew how to figure things out. He could figure anything out. He was a watchman, so he essentially figured out how to steal other people's powers because he wanted to be the very best and he wanted to be the most powerful. And even though I wasn't having those evil thoughts, that was my point. I was just like, fuck, man, I want to be the biggest band in the scene. I want to be the best there is, and I still do. It's like not just in the scene, everywhere. That's our mentality always. Like we always want to be the best, and we just had a plan, a passion, and a drive, and we still do. And that's really what separated us at the time, and that's how we did it, man. Yeah, awesome. It's crazy.
So before we go, I'd like to thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
Is there just anything else with the band you'd like to promote that we could be expecting after this kick-ass tour with Cane Hill in terms of new music or touring? This is going to be uploaded by midnight, so if you're not allowed to talk about it.
Well, obviously we have a bunch of stuff we're not able to talk about, but we do have festivals coming up. This tour goes all the way to June 1st, so we're literally hitting almost every market in America. Honestly, just stay tuned, man. Listen to our music. I know a lot of times you listen to songs and you listen for certain things, but I promise you, if you listen to our latest record Seasons and you just kind of like shut everything else out and really listen to the music, it's a very, very, very special record. And that's just what I want people to do, to like not look at the members, not look at the name, just like listen to our music, man. And if you vibe with it, then like join the family. And if you don't, oh good, maybe our next record you'll vibe with us. You know, that's the way I see it. But overall, man, we're on our first headliner tour. I'm home in Brooklyn. This is a massive, massive milestone for us, and I just want to take the moment to say thank you to everyone that supports us, because we wouldn't be shit if it wasn't for the people that support us daily.
And this channel wouldn't be shit if it wasn't for kick-ass bands from New York coming out. So
hell yeah, man. Yeah, awesome. Glad we can all be a part of the puzzle, you know? Exactly. That's what it's about, man. I've learned that too. It's like, even if I want to be the best, to me, it's like I always want to help people out. And to me, it's like that's why we requested Jinx on the show, because they're doing work here in New York, and I was like, you know, I see the grind. I want them, if we can put them in front of some of our fans and, you know, have them gain some fans, have the New York City scene thrive more, then we're going to do that. And we went hard to get them on, and they're playing tonight. And awesome. It's going to be a sick time.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jayden.
Anytime, brother.
Everybody, Jayden of Sylar, pick up Seasons
Oh, yeah.
if you haven't already. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York.